Hi, I'm Julia, Reference Librarian at McAllen Public Library.
So today I'm going to show everyone how to get started with updating or creating a resume in Microsoft Word. Now, of course, the content of your resume is very important, like your job experience, your education, your skills, all of that. That's very important. That's the meat of the resume. But also the style of the resume is very important. It's very important that it's crisp and clean and polished looking. And using a template for a resume on Microsoft Word is an easy way to get started without having to do it all from scratch yourself. So what you do first is you open Microsoft Word and you go to where the templates are. When you open it, it'll look something like this. You go over here to New, and these are some of the most common templates, but you go up here to Search, and we are looking for resumes, so we're going to type resume in the search box here. And I should add that in order for this to work, you do have to be connected to the internet. I figured that out just now when I was recording this. In order for all these templates to show up, you do have to have an internet connection. They're not like preloaded onto Word. But so these are all of the resume templates. Some of the things like the exact layout and color and all that you can change. But you should browse through them and see which ones you like. It kind of depends on what kind of job you're applying for. Like if you're applying for a job that's more in the creative field, you'll want a resume that's a little more creative. If you're applying for a more traditional job, you'll want a resume that's more traditional looking. So you can just browse and see which which ones you like. I think this one looks good. So we'll use this one as an example. So I'll go ahead and click on this one. Now, the first time you open it and you open a resume, it's going to show you this LinkedIn Resume Assistant. In order to use that, I think you have to have a LinkedIn account. So we're not going to do that here, but if you do have a LinkedIn account, you can connect it, and I think it'll kind of help you fill it out, kind of suggest things for you to add. But if you don't want to use that, you just close the little X here and it'll go away. And now over here, you can start editing the things in your resume. For example, Microsoft already knows my name because this is my account, so it filled out my name for me. And so now what you'll do, or on whatever template you choose, is you'll just start modifying things with your own information. And the good thing about it is that it already kind of tells you what to put. And all you really have to do is fill it in. Like, job title, company, dates from and to. You just fill out exactly what it says. It gives you the instructions of what to do. Now, the template does tell you exactly what to put where. Like up here at the top, it tells you that you should put your profession or your industry, and here it tells you should put a link to your website or your blog. Here you put your work experience, and here you put your education experience. Over here you list your skills, like languages that you speak, programming languages that you know, that kind of thing. Down here you list volunteer experience, leadership experience, some clubs you're in, things like that. And down here at the bottom, you add your contact information. And all of the templates will have, they'll have kind of similar layouts. Like they're going to be sections for your education, for your job experience, for other skills and qualifications. But an important thing to remember in all of them, in any resume, is that in the job experience and education sections, you always want to list what's most recent first. Like you want to list your most recent job first, and then your earliest job last down at the bottom. And same thing with your education. You want your most recent degree first, and then your older degrees down towards the bottom. So you want to have what's newest to be up at the top, most visible. Now, another important thing to point out is that you might have heard that resumes can only be one page, that they shouldn't be more than one page long. That's not true. That's kind of a false preconceived notion. It's kind of a fake news. It's true that employers are going through resumes very quickly, and so you need to be direct and to the point. Put the most important parts, where they're most visible because they are going through them quickly. but you don't want to leave anything out or leave out important things just so that it's less than, not more than a page long. And if it takes you 3 pages to list all of your job experience and all of your degrees, then you go ahead and have it 3 pages long. Just make sure that everything that you're including is important and relevant and well organized. Now, you also might have heard that it's bad to have gaps in your employment history on your resume, that it's like bad to have a gap of, 5 years, 10 years in your work history. But that's perfectly fine. People have all kinds of reasons, personal reasons for not being in the job market for any amount of time, and that's not something you need to worry about here. That's the kind of thing that you can explain in the cover letter, which we'll be talking about next week, and you can also explain it in job interviews. The most important thing is to just put a positive spin on everything in your resume. Like anything that you're going to list, volunteer work, anything, just portray it in the most positive light. Put as positive a spin as possible on everything that you include in your resume. Everything that you include has to be true and it has to be accurate, but you need to portray yourself in the most positive light possible. So this is a very easy and simple way to get started with making a professional looking resume in Microsoft Word. After you finish filling everything out and putting everything in, you should have someone look it over, someone proofread it, because it's extremely important that everything have a correct spelling, correct grammar, correct punctuation. All of that is extremely important. A lot of employers will just toss the resume aside if there's poor spelling, poor grammar. So you should always have someone look it over. The next step after this is to write a cover letter, and that is what we're going to be covering next week. So be sure to tune in next week when we'll be talking about making cover letters on Microsoft Word.
This was Julia, and thank you for watching. Be sure to follow MPL Adults on Facebook and McAllen Public Library on YouTube, and don't miss any of our virtual programs.